Hello and welcome to this video on XPages and MVC. In this episode we discuss the choice to separate the data and design from our application. In traditional Notes development, it was very common to have the design documents and the data document stored in the same file or database. This capability we also see in other non-SQL databases like CouchDB, for example. This has some advantages and disadvantages. A big advantage is the transportability of an application from server A to B. A major disadvantage is that it's very likely that similar code or design resides in multiple databases, and this makes it more tedious to change or upgrade. However, the trend is to separate the data from the design, something we also see in cloud offerings like IBM Bluemix. I guess the main idea is to have a guaranteed availability on the data center, and when an application environment is disturbed, you can easily switch to another one with the data environment still in function. But for developers, the separation of data and design can also have some advantages during development, as I have listed out with a couple of examples. So what does the separation of data and design have as consequence for our application? The most obvious consequence is that we will have two NSFs or databases. One NSF will contain only the notes documents and the data schemes via forms and views. The other NSF will have all the design documents, the plugins, libraries and files, etc. To register the references of the location and the names of the data sources, I tend to use a properties file. This file is nothing more than simply a map containing key value pairs. So now it's time to open our Domino Designer and create these initial files. Okay, so I've launched my Domino Designer. I'm going to build the two NSFs, the data and design NSF. Let's do that first. New application, my server. First I will use I will create the data NSF, put it somewhere where we can find it back. I call it a new subfolder called MVC. I say OK. I also have to set the ACL, anonymous. I grant it author access. OK, and then I create the design NSF, and let's call this something different. So it's the design, but I would like to call it the file name a bit different. This will be my application, so I call it app NSF. Say OK, and also have to set the ACL for it. So now I've got the two files. Then I will create in the design NSF, I will create under resources files the data sources properties file, and I have to include that last extension. And I have to create or register two key value pairs. The first one is a reference to my server. And the second one is a reference to the file path to the data NSF. Okay, let's save that. And now we'll create a custom control CC utils layout, and this custom control I will reuse across my application, and this will contain from the extension library the application layout control, and we'll use some bootstrap here, so I'll say responsive bootstrap configuration, just leave it as it is now, but I want to include an editable area. And because I will reuse the data sources properties file across multiple XPages, I will add here the data sources properties file. So I go to resources, I say add, I select resource bundles. Okay, I've got one, but I have to create some kind of variable name and make it simple, data sources. Say okay, save that one. Then I go to I will create an XPage. For now we call it test. Say okay, and we drag in our custom control. And in that I've got that editable area. I will include a panel, and then I will add a computed field, and in this one I can use some server-side JavaScript, and I've got some script prepared. We paste that in, save that. Let's see what it is. Okay, we will access a nodes database. Here we provide our two keys, or the values of those keys. So I said data sources, data server, and data file path. And if I can have access to DB, I return the title. If not, I will just return something static. Save that one, build my application, and if I open that one in the browser, let's see what happens. Okay, I got the database title returned of our data NSF. So this first simple initial setup of creating two separate databases, one for the design elements, one for the data, the nodes documents, and create some kind of registry between the two, or at least from the design database to the data database, using a properties file that has been established. So that's it for now. I thank you.